Okay, so today we will talking about continuous testing and the mobile DevOps. So at the beginning, this is a little information about myself. So currently I'm working as a senior SDET or test automation engineer at Delivery Hero. I worked before in different business domains like agriculture, telecom, healthcare, and fashion, and now I'm working on food delivery. I participated in or design and also design and test automation frameworks for web, mobile, and APIs. And I implemented different CICD pipeline using GitLab, Bitbucket, Bitrise, and Jenkins. And as Diego said, I have an online course on Udemy, but it's in Arabic because I'm from Egypt actually, and I need to help my colleagues in Arab countries to learn more about automation. So I have online course on Udemy, and I taught almost more than 600 students. And because I started my career as a .NET developer working with Microsoft Stack, so because that you should take a lot of certificates with Microsoft. So because that I am certified in MCT or Microsoft Certified Trainer, and MC is DELM. This is like a certificate in application lifecycle management for working with all the DevOps practices with Microsoft, and MCTS in SharePoint, and also ISTQB and the Certified Scrum Master. Our agenda today, we will talking about what is DevOps in general, and after that, what is the advantage of DevOps, what is the 6 of DevOps adoption. So if you wanted to think about DevOps, what the 6 parts or 6 strategy or 6 points that you need to think about it. What is the mobile DevOps, and what's the difference between the DevOps or the normal DevOps and the mobile DevOps? If there is any challenges we will face on mobile DevOps when we start to implement that. And the relationship between test automation and the mobile DevOps and the mobile CICD pipeline. And we have a technical demo, how can you design your mobile CICD pipeline from scratch using a few steps using Bitrise. And actually we have one more thing, maybe interesting, is that we can run our test today on Sauce Lab. So you can run it with Bitrise. Bitrise is a CICD pipeline, and you can implement one step to running our test cases using Sauce Lab. Okay, so this is a Delivery Hero in 10 numbers. So Delivery Hero is founded in 2011, and now we are in 39 countries all over the world. And in 2018, we ordered more than 400 million orders with or from 290,000 of restaurant or our vendors. And we are now 22,000 of employees globally or all over the world, and we are market leader in 36 countries. We are now 26 brands for all the delivery or food delivery brands all over the world. And we receive about 1,000 or more than 1,600 orders per minute. And we are a listed company 13th of June 27. And the revenue growth in 2018 is 77%. We have 3 values in Delivery Hero. The first one is that we are heroes because we care, we deliver solutions, and we always aim higher. And actually, these 3 values always reflect our performance as a company. So, for example, if you start self-performance yourself or in your appraisal or your performer, you will start thinking or we start asking you about what you did against these 3 or with these 3 values. For example, here employees' performance based on the Delivery Hero values. And for the first point, for example, we have something or we are deliver solution for the global problems all over the world. So we have global brands all over the world, and we need to find solutions for different problems that we face in the environment. Because that sometimes we, or every day, every year, we deliver or we create something like Delivery Hack Week. And for we are heroes because we care, we have like Delivery or Hero Month. It's about 1 month for volunteering opportunity in the environment, or we are helping together to reach something or to solve problems. And also, we are always aim higher because every time or every day we are learning from together and everything. So I will start my presentation with like a problem, or we will start like a story. So we will start that we will imagine or assume that all of us are now hired in one company working on mobile development. And we start working after handover. I start working on our application, and we found a lot of problems. We start to analyze our application and the results and test results and so on, and we found different problems. We start to list our problems, and we found the following output. All testing processes are manual in the company, so there is no any automation in place, so we need to think about how we can solve this problem. The deployment process is manual, but we have a problems because we have always conflicts, and we need to roll back from the different versions and so on. The live apps already, or our on production or product apps on the Google Play Store and Apple Store has, or with the rate less than 3 stars, which is if anyone working in mobile company or company is especially in mobile application, he know more about this one, because the rating is like about reflecting customer specifications. So if we are less than 3 stars or 1 star, so we have a problem in our application because we have a lot of negative feedbacks in the App Store or Google Play Store. So we need to figure out what is the problems, and we start working on this one. The old team or the old testing team was working with exploratory testing. They don't have any regression suites, any smoke test, any end-to-end. So it just opens the application based on their experience from the function or with the functions, and start testing the application. So we don't have any regression suite. They are just running from or based on their experience. A lot of negative customer feedback, something like this one. This game is not good at all. Whoever seen this review, please don't install this game. And he has like more than 300 thumbs up. So we are losing now a lot of customers from our application. The applications, we know, or we checked already, the application are buggy, or applications are buggy, and we have live issues in the App Store for Google and Apple Store also. And the big problem from this one is we are releasing every 2 months, which is for mobile is huge time, because in every 2 months, if we found issue for now and we will release after 2 months, so we will lose a lot of customers during these 2 months for releasing new version or hotfixes from our application. So we now need to decide, so shall we leave the company or shall we start solving our problems? Okay. So our plan, so we'll start our testing strategy and our plan. So we need to put a strategy to solve these all problems. Starting with, we will start right, we need to agree about scopes for regression, smoke, and end-to-end scenarios. And we need to automate all of them. Second one, we need to run a smoke test in every pull request, smoke test suite in every pull request. For example, if the developer changes the code, we need to run our smoke test. Maybe it can be 10 test cases, maybe it can be 20 test cases. But at the end, we need to figure out what is the core functions in our application that we can't release or we can't merge this code without passing off this smoke test suite. We need to run the regression suite because regression is bigger than the smoke one. So we need to run the regression as a nightly build. So every day at nightly build, we can build our applications, run our test, and they check the result after that. We need to run our end-to-end test suite because this is more bigger from the smoke and the regression. So we start bigger now. So end-to-end test, we need to run this suite before releasing and after releasing. For example, we need to check that the release is, we are confident about this application or this version of the release. So we need to run our end-to-end scenarios before and after every release. And also, because it was the biggest problem, we need to reduce our or recycle for deploying to be every 1 month, and after that, maybe we can do it after 2 weeks. And also, we need to deploy or automate the deployment process automatically on Google App Store and Apple Store. And also, one more thing, we need to know more about if there is any negative feedback immediately from the customer, from the stores itself. So if anyone go now and put any negative feedback, we need to know as a team now there is a negative feedback and we need to take action about this one. So now we have our problems and we have plan, but we need to combine them to start working on something on this one. And last one is we need to get notification about all the build status, which is something is doable, and we can do it with any software that we can have. What is the process? So the question is now, what is the process or methodology or practice that we can follow to reach our plan to solve our problems? This is the flow that we need to think about. The solution is the DevOps. So what is DevOps? DevOps is the mindset. We need to figure out the DevOps, or we need to agree about the DevOps is a mindset. It's a culture. We need to agree, or we need to say, okay, we will start working with a DevOps. Why? Because DevOps will solve all our problems. But it's not about processes only. It's not about people only. It's not about toolings, but it's about all of them combined in one processes. So DevOps is like a methodology. It's to bring software development and the IT operations, because in the previous work or previous experience with the old templates, we are using, for example, waterfall model. And we have problems between IT operations and software development. And we have, if anyone from the testing team need environment to run our test on this one, okay, we need to ask or send a request first to the IT operation. He will give you the machine, and after that, maybe it takes 2 weeks or something like that. But the DevOps bring together, or bring both together, so we need to combine, or we need to work together from the software development methodology, bring software development team to the IT operations. It's a culture of collaboration. So because that we, in the previous slide, we said that it's a mindset, because it's based on collaboration, and we need to work together to success in the DevOps. And also one more thing, it's a start from the initial design phase, because you will take a look about the next slide. It's about from the initial design phase, or the starter point is the initial design phase, until we deployed our application to the production or to drive it to the clients. So DevOps is about people. They have a culture and mindset about DevOps, and we need to agree about this one, and we have a process in place to work with this one. And we have tools, and doesn't matter what tools that you are using, at the end you need to apply the DevOps practices at the end. So DevOps is something like this one, and like its process or methodology started from plan. So we have here plan, and after that we started development our application or our website as you work, and after that build our application, run our test, packaging and deploying our application, releasing, operate, or monitor our application on the App Store. And after that, if we have any problem in the monitoring and operation and releasing, we start planning again against these issues. And after that, coding, building, testing, and so on. So something like continuously work. There is a good framework, or like framework from Atlassian, they called CALMS. They mention the culture of DevOps, or the processes of DevOps, in 5 points. First one is a culture. Second one is automation, lean, measurement, and sharing. So if we see culture, because we said it's a mindset, so it's a cross-functional collaboration. Cross-functional team working together in one goal with one mindset that we need to do this one, or we need to follow this process. Automation is not about test automation, it's about automate everything as we can. So it's about automate deployment, automate testing, automate rollback for the previous version or to the previous version of the application, and so on. So it's about eliminate repetitive manual works. We have a manual work, every time take time, or every time it take long time, so we need to check solution for this one. Lean is about continuous improvement, like the previous image. So every time we are continuously learning. We are continuously learning from the previous steps. So we have a problem in the release. So next time we need to take care about these points in the next release to need to add one more test, for example. Measurement is about measuring performance. So we need to measure always the performance about our deployment processes, our testing scripts. So this time, okay, test scripts take about 1 hour. Okay, next time we need to eliminate it to be 30 minutes, for example. So what shall we do about this one? Sharing is about developers and operators pair with each other in each phase of the application lifecycle. It's not an isolated island. It's working together in one more thing, on one more goal, that we need to deliver the application with faster and good quality. So the advantage of DevOps is improve customer satisfaction. So we need always to deliver fast with quality. This is the idea, deliver fast with quality. So we need to increase or improve our customer satisfactions. Faster deployment and the quick delivery to market. Because if we have a competitor in the market and we are releasing every 2 months, so we will lose a lot of clients or customers in the app store in the market. Seamless operations. Something or everything is automated from the design to deployment, so everything is seamless operations without any problems. Improve the communication and the productivity because it's based on culture and collaboration, so it will increase the communication between teams. On-time release, so we have a specific time that we will release on this, because if we automate everything, so we will figure out how we can design or how we can agree about our release time. Easy identification of the bottlenecks. So there is a one breaks, like if we said fail fast, like it's like concept of fail fast. So if we, for example, our test cases fail in every pull request, so we have a problem now in the application and we need to figure out what is the problem and solve it. But if we have a problem after releasing, this is different area and a different cost and everything. Environmental stability and the better working environment. So we need also to think about stability and the better working environment. To adopt the DevOps, you have thinking, or you need to think about 6 C's. It's a continuous planning, continuous integration, continuous testing, continuous deployment, continuous delivery, and continuous monitoring. And what we are talking about now is or today, it's a continuous testing. But it's one of the cycle of the DevOps adoption. So continuous planning is about, we are planning always in our, if you are working with a Scrum or Agile, we are always planning what next for the next release, what the enhancements that we need to add, what the bugs that we need to take care about it. We need to add more resources in our project. We need to eliminate the resources because we don't have enough time, and so on. Continuous integration in every pull request or in every change in the code, we need to run our test or UI test. Continuous testing, this is what we will talking about in the next slide. Continuous deployment, we need to deploy our applications in the market and continuously and automatic, and we can roll back automatically also. Continuous delivery, we can also deliver our applications, but maybe we have like human interaction with the continuous delivery. And the continuous monitoring, we always monitor our application if there is any problem in our application, so we can figure out what is the problem. Continuous testing is a process of executing automated tests as a part of software delivery pipeline. So if we have a delivery pipeline, so from the code commit to deployment, so we have like one pipeline, and we need to put our test automation inside this pipeline. So continuous testing, you can run in every pull request, run in nightly build, run in every release, run by manual. If I wanted to run the test cases now, so I need to trigger this flag and I will run my test. So I need to check the test cases now or every pull request and so on. So continuous testing is a process for executing automated tests as a part of software delivery pipeline. To obtain feedback, so we need to get fast feedback. So if we said, like I said from a while, that we need to fast fail. If we fail fast, so we can trigger or we can check what is the problem and we can again start in our work. It's involved and extends the test automation to address the increased complexity, and so for our mobile application and for delivery, so we need to add continuous testing in our cycle. So continuous testing is seamlessly integrated into our pipeline. So for example, it's another picture. So we started from plan, coding, building, and continuous testing. And after that, releasing, deploying, operate, monitor, and start with plan again, and so on. So continuous testing, it must be placed on one process in the full cycle of the DevOps toolchain. But how can I implement continuous testing? If we remember from our plan that we said that the smoke test will be in every BR or pull request, and the end-to-end it will be in every release, and the smoke test or regression test it will be nightly build. But what if we put the wrong test inside BR? For example, if we decided that we will put end-to-end scenarios in the every pull request, and the end-to-end scenarios are about 200 test cases. So the BR it will take about 3 or 4 hours, so which is wrong. So we need to implement the right test in the right place. Okay, so we need to decide which tests that we can put in this step inside the delivery pipeline. A stable lab and a test environment, a stable environment to be able to test our application. Because for example, if I'm using the development environment, and every time the developer is changing the environment and I'm running my test automation script, every time I will get different results. And after that, they will tell me, okay, your tests are flaky and you need to take care about it. No, the environment itself is not stable. So we need to take care about a stable lab and the test environment to be able to run our test and ensure about the result. And maybe if we able, or if possible, to implement artificial intelligence or machine learning solutions to optimize our continuous testing, something like if we can use model or train model to write test cases, or we can use something related to AI in reporting to analyze our test cases and the results to check what is the problem in our test cases, and maybe can categorize the error. For example, this is a product error, and this is a framework error, this is like reporting error, and so on. So if we can implement AI or can utilize AI and the machine learning in our framework or in our continuous testing suites, so we can also help us in overall release processes. What are the challenges that we faced for mobile DevOps? So we are now talking about the DevOps in general, but now we will switch back to or go to the mobile DevOps. In mobile, we have 4 different areas or 4 different challenges for development. We need to take care about multi-platform support, because we are supporting iOS, Android, and different versions of this platform. So we need to take care about this one, because mobile or each manufacturer of the mobile hardware itself, they behave for the application with different behavior. So we need to take care about the multi-platform support. And the second one is the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So to deploy our application, if you are comparing between websites and the mobile applications, so if you wanted to deploy websites, it's at the end it will be in the browser. So you deploy your application in anywhere and you will find it in the browser. But if you wanted to deploy new version or new release from your application, so you need to take care about the approval from the stores. We need to take care about the guidelines that the stores give you to be able to deploy your application. And third one is pool deployment model. For the mobile, or if you have mobile applications, and if there is a new version of the mobile and we need to update it, you must pull the update. We are not pushing the update for you. So for example, if I have application for Facebook and I wanted to update it, I must install the update by manual or by my hand. But the different approach with web applications that I mentioned, that you just push your application and the users will find the changes in your website without any problem. But also we need to take care about pool deployment model, because you always pull your or the latest changes from the App Store. And the fourth one is mobile app testing. We need to take care about mobile, because also we have native tools, we have hybrid, we have open source, we have licensed tools. So we need to take a decision about this one. Shall we go with the native tools? For example, if we are planning as a company that we need the mobile developers to write mobile tests or to write UI test automation. If we decide this one, so we need to go with the native tools. For example, Espresso for Android and XSUI test for iOS, because it's with the same language with what they are doing, and it will be easy to them to just learn them what they are doing with the tool automation to automate it. But if we will take the responsibility of the test automation like a test automation engineer, so we can select any open source tool like Appium or any or Detox or any frameworks that we can use. Test automation and the mobile DevOps. So test automation, as we said, is a vital part of the mobile DevOps. The continuous integration and deployment must be in place in any delivery pipeline. If we are using a mobile DevOps, we will reach creation of better applications because we have a good quality and we are put our test automation scripts in place or in the right place. We have a faster release time and we are reduce the bottlenecks because we know more about our issues and we can figure out what is the problems and how can we solve these problems. After that, we need to design our mobile CICD. What is a CICD? It's stands for continuous integration and the continuous delivery or continuous pipeline. And the difference between continuous delivery and continuous pipeline is just continuous deployment and continuous delivery is just one flag that at the end of the process you need to deployment to automatic all the process, or we need at the last step for the delivery, you need to just check from the manual check that, okay, I will deploy this one from like release manager, for example. So mobile CI/CD pipeline help you to automate steps. So we need to automate everything in the application, to automate deployment, automate test, automate building of our application, reporting, result, and everything in our application. Such as initializing code builds, running automate test, deploying to staging and production. So we can also flag that this will be go to the staging, this will be go to the production environment. Automated pipeline remove manual errors. So we don't have manual now because we are automate all the processes or all the stages in the process. So provide a standardized deployment. Now we have a standard. We have pipeline. All of us know about it, and all of us work with this one. And we can also get feedback faster and from the products or from the clients. So this is one example of the mobile or CI/CD pipeline. So we will start by checking our code or repository, build our application for test. Maybe if you are using, for example, if you are using a native tool like Espresso, you need to build both app or you need to build two applications. One, the application under test itself, and the second one is the test application, because with Espresso, they are converting your test cases to APK. So at the beginning, you need to build your test application, run your test, unit test from the developers, UI test from the test automation engineers, sign the application to be ready for deploying it to the App Store, release the application. We can have option to upload the Hockey app or upload the application to Hockey app. This is one server to QA engineers if we still have manual testers, and we need to release one version from the application to be under test. So we can release to Hockey app application for QA engineers, and deploy to Google Play Store, and also we can deploy to with beta version. So this is like a beta version for the beta users. They can test the new features and can start testing our application. And after that, we need to publish our test results. For example, this is like additional steps to send this like message or notification to the developers or the team. And maybe also we can send a 12 message if we have options to, like if anyone out of the office, you can just send or get SMS message from the deployment process or from the CI/CD pipeline. So as we see, the benefits of pipeline is like developers now focus more about the work. They don't care about deployment, testing, everything in place in one process, one pipeline. So they need to focus more about the code quality and the monitoring the application behavior itself. QA and the product stakeholders now can access the latest version or any versions of our application from the Hockey app, for example, and you can download it and you can start testing this, or you can check the features is already implemented, like the documentation or like that the customer send it to us or not. Application updates are not stressful, so we can just update our application with one workflow or one process. We have all logs of our code changes. We can also test and deployment our projects at any time. You don't have any problem in this because we have like a template, like this one. This is a previous template. So we can have a template for deployment and the testing. Rolling back to previous version, if you have any problem with the new version, you can roll back automatically to the previous one to solve the problem. And after that, you can push the updates. And we have fast feedback from our like QA or products or our clients, so we can start reinvent or run again our test. In the market, we have a lot of CICD tool chain. For example, we have GitHub Actions. This is still beta version. So GitHub, you can like design your CICD pipeline using YAML file, and after that, you can start using your code with GitHub and start running GitHub Actions. Jenkins pipeline, you can start building your pipeline, GitLab, CICD, Bitbucket, Bitrise. AWS, you can using AWS services or different services from AWS to build your CI/CD pipeline, like AWS Code Build or AWS Device Farm for running a test, for example. Azure DevOps, this is one from Microsoft also, and Google Cloud. So we have different tool chains, but we need to decide which tools that we can help us in our plane. So everyone has a pros and cons for pricing, for how to use it, the usage, how can we use it from the team, and so on. So from these tools, we are selecting Bitrise. So what is Bitrise? Bitrise is a continuous integration and delivery or CI/CD platform as a service. So it's like online service. You can subscribe with it. It's like PaaS or platform as a service. So you can subscribe or you can create free account and you can try it, any build as you want, but you have one concurrent build that you can try it. And it's mainly focused on mobile apps. You can't build your web applications or APIs, for example. It's only CI/CD platform for mobile application. For iOS, for any mobile application. So for iOS, for Android, for React Native, for Flutter, and more. So you can build any mobile application with Bitrise, and it's like a collection of tools or services that can help you to development fast and test your application. So this is the image from Bitrise. So they are building apps for any platforms. So it's for iOS, Android that mentioned, Xamarin, Ionic, Cordova, Reactive Native, macOS applications, and Flutter also for cross-platform testing or development. So now it's a time for demo. So now we are start building our CI/CD pipeline using Bitrise and SOSLab. This is maybe the interesting part in Bitrise, because Bitrise itself, they doesn't have integration step for SOSLab. But you can custom your scripts to running on any tool or any different area. So this is the idea about Bitrise. This is the workflow that we are building, just few steps, and we will find your application on the App Store. So our tech stack in the demo, we are using Android application. This is a simple calculator application, and we are using Espresso as a native tool and JUnit for running our test. And we are using SOSLab for running on virtual device, and Bitbucket, this is our resource control management tool, and Bitrise for mobile CI/CD pipeline. Before I start, what we will design, actually, this is the workflow that we will design. So from Bitbucket, if the developer pushes the code, this is what we are doing also in Delivery Hero. We are using Bitrise in delivery applications, but we are using GitHub and different services. So we are pushing our code to Bitbucket. With the webhook, Bitrise will trigger the workflow, and we add one step in the workflow to Android build for UI test. So we are building the application for UI test. So at the end, we will find two apps in our output. One, the application under test itself, and one, our test application. And after that, running our test in SOSLab, in virtual device, because we will send our APK, or both APK to SOSLab to test our application. And after that, the artifacts that we will get, at the end, Bitrise will give us two APKs. The first one is the application itself, and the second one is the application, our test cases. And after that, we can sign the application, deploy to Hockey app for QA and the tester, and deploy to Google Play Store for customers. So here, our application is a simple calculator. So we have 4 test cases here to ensure that the inputs and the operation is working. And we have also utilities for that we are adding 3 tags, one for end-to-end, one for smoke test. For example, if we open this one.
Can you increase the font size? Is that possible?
From this one? Present. Yeah. So here, for example, because we are using Java and we are using Espresso and using Java or Kotlin or anything, so it's a native tool. So for example, we start thinking about our problems. Okay, don't forget our problems. So we agreed about that we have end-to-end scenarios, we have smoke test, and we have regression. So we create like annotation for each one, and this is like a simple code for creating annotation. And in the test method itself, you will put at end-to-end, and it will run with end-to-end scenarios. So here, in our test, here, for example, this is the pure Espresso code. So at the beginning, we get the permission for write external and read external from the storage from the device. And after that, this is the activity rule. This is the main screen that we will working on. And after that, this is the setup. Just we are using Espresso before setup and on view with ID. This is the syntax of Espresso. On view with ID r.button. So you need to click here, or you need to send the keys or perform a click and everything. And here the annotation. So for example, this is our test. This without any annotations. So we can run it with regression, for example. So it will ignore if we are running a regression test. And this one is regression test. And so on for the other test cases. And as we know from, if you wanted to run our test, you just open the emulators. Then you close it and open it again. Okay, so from the command line or from Gradle, because at the end we are using a Gradle as a build tool. So from here we can running just connected debug Android test. And this task will build both applications, the APK itself and like this I mentioned, install and run. So it will build the application, install to the connected device, and run our test. So it's about this one. So we just can double click on here, and our build now it's running, and our test automation is start continuously working. So this is our application, this is our test, and now we are running locally, and it's work fine. So we need to go to the next step to running on Bitrise. So we have now everything is working, and also from here we can check that the build output, we have two things, Android test, this is our application under test. Okay, this is our APK or the application itself, and the debug is the test APK. So at the end, if you wanted to use any CICD tool or you need to run your Espresso test, you must have these two APKs to working with. From Bitrise, we will go to this is a dashboard for Bitrise. So I was trying also to run the application. So this is, for example, this is the previous builds. And if you have any queue build, because it's based on concurrent build, so you don't have any queue build now. And we will start adding a new application, for example. So from here, if you are connected with your Bitbucket application, so from here, I will select as a private or public repository, and it will start select or give me choices. Where is your code? Is GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, or other manual if you want to figure out. So I will select my account as Espresso, Bitrise, and the next step, it's like a wizard. Okay, it's the next step is asking me, do you need access code or SSH key to put it in your repository? If I add no, I don't have, so it will give me message that you are not administrator in this repository, so you need to add this SSH to be able Bitrise to access your code. So from this one, okay, no problem. I will copy this one and go to Bitbucket setting and add one more key or SSH key, add key, and after that I will go back again to Bitrise and told here, okay, I add already the SSH, and after that choose the branch, it's master. This is the interesting idea about Bitrise. They are start validating your repository against their templates. They have templates for different projects. For example, my application is Android and Espresso and Java. So it will detect from my repository that you are using Android, and it will give me the workflow for Android. And if it's iOS, it will give me one Mac machine for iOS, for example. If it's a cross-platform, it will give you like a Linux machine combined between iOS and Android. So start validating repository, and after that, it will give me the build configuration or the template for our application. Until this one is finished, so we will check. This is the last workflow. What we are doing now, it will be displayed like this one. So at the beginning, we are cloning the repository. We are caching this pool, and from here, we will start adding one step for installing a SOS lab and installing a missing Android SDK. Android build for UI test. This is the predefined steps with Bitrise that will build our application to be ready for UI test. And after that, we will upload our APK, because in this step, we got the 2 apps, and after that, we will upload our application to SOS labs. And this is the deploy and the Bitrise caching. This is from Bitrise side itself. So if we go back, okay, so still validating. So what if we start running this one? So I will go to this one, and from here also, this is what I was talking about. For example, if we go to workflow, we have a workflow editor, and also Bitrise give you the YAML file from this workflow. For example, here we have a code signing. If we need to sign your code, need to add secrets for environment variables. Like here, we need to trigger. For example, I need to run this workflow in this branch only. So we need to figure out what is the branch. So for example, this is asterisk for all branches. But here I can add one trigger. For example, I need to run against this branch. And from here, you can select different workflows. So I need, for every pull request in this branch, you can run different workflows. And also in every pull request and on every tag, for example, we created new tag for releasing. So we need to run a specific workflow for deploying our application, for example. And this is the stack that we got. This is the default stack. We got Android Docker on Ubuntu. So this is like a Docker image. They are using, I think, Docker and the Vagrant for initializing the Docker image. So we have here Android and the Docker, and we have a lot of variants. So for example, if our application is iOS, it will give us Xcode or image or with predefined of application of Xcode on macOS 10.13, for example. Or if it's a hybrid or cross-platform application, it will give me like Xcode with Android and Cordova, Flutter, so with different options. So this is the default one for Android. And this is the Bitrise YAML file. So they are generating a YAML file for us from the workflow. So from here, you can change your workflow, or from the workflow editor itself, you can check your application from here. So I need to refresh this one. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, sorry, the internet. So like Bitrise. No, I don't see. I added already. Okay, copy. I will add one more. And I have already added. I hope this works. Master. Start validating again. Okay, let's run this workflow because it takes a little. So from here, also we have here your team, your add-ons, your workflow, your settings for application. So start. And also from this screen, you can also schedule your workflow to run a nightly build, for example. So from here, I can start the build immediately, or I can, from advanced, schedule this build like this one, and you can select which hour you need to run this test and which day you need to run this test, and in which branch and which workflow that you need to trigger in nightly build, for example. So from here, I can put like 10. And I will run in all, maybe you can select also the weekend. And also if you need something advanced, you can add like a commit hash or get tag to running or message or anything from here. So I can start in this one. But if I don't need to run a nightly build, I just need to run this one, and it will running or start our application or our workflow. And here, this is all information. So I trigger it manually. But if it's the workflow triggered from your pull request, from here it will be like a webhook. And this is the number of the build. This is the time. Commit. There is no commit because I'm running it manually. And this is the testing report that we will get at the end. And this is the logging, or this is all the steps in the workflow. You can also follow from here. So we are now installing, so we are caching, git clone, we are installing missing Android tools. So it will start, and now this is the build start in the master branch with the primary workflow. Now this one is finished. And here we will get at the end our apps and our artifacts, for example, test result or our APK, and we can download from this link, or we can also send it to SourceLab. So here, we are now start building our application because it's a Gradle, and start building our application in Gradle tasks. So finally, so now Bitrise detects that our application is Android. So it will give me the the stack that enable or that working with Android. Okay, here you can specify your model or your module, and here you can specify your variant. For example, if you have one code base and you can deploy 4 different applications from one code base. So it's based on variant. So from here, in my case, it's about debug. And here, this is the final stack. So it's about module, variant, and the stack is Android, Docker, and Ubuntu. So I can confirm, or I can change if I want. From here, I can change the stack, but it's like the default one. I can confirm. And you can also select icon for your application. No, I can skip for now, and register webhook for me on Bitbucket. So in every pull request and every push in the code, it will run and start running this one. Because this is a free account, so I think this one, it will go to on hold, because in free account you have one concurrent build only, because we are running already one with Bitrise. So this one is start running our SourceLab runner. So I will just open this dashboard, and yeah, we are now running our Espresso test in SourceLab, and it's finished already. And we can run, or we can open the video. Okay, still loading. So here, yeah, it says test SQL. So what I'm using now, or what I'm using in this workflow, I will show you the workflow itself. In Bitrise, in Workflow Editor, you can add any steps from the integrations that they have. So they have a lot of integrations or tools that you're. For example, if you need to upload the result to S3 Bitbucket, so you can select like S3 file uploader and put your S3 keys or public keys and the private keys and so on. Android build, Android UI, Android detect if you need to run lint in your code. Everything. So for example, here, if I'm searching about SourceLab, so there is no anything, but what shall I do, or how can I do it? You can have one step for a script. It's like a pure script. You can add shell script or anything. And inside this script, you can add anything or connect with any third-party tools that you want. In my step, what I did, I just put one for installing SourceLab. I just need to increase this one. So from here, SourceLab, they have something called Source Runner Visual for Linux. This tool is take your Espresso test. It's still only for virtual devices and only for Espresso. It's not supported. I think until now it's not supported any frameworks. So it's using Espresso and Android and Linux, and you have a client for Linux, Mac, and Windows for sure. So I'm just pulling this one or this tool, and after that I unzip the folder, and from this comment, so this is one for installing only, I start to normally build our application, and after that, after I got the application, I need to upload my app to SourceLab to be able to run my test on SourceLab. So in this step, from the previous step, I already unzipped the folder, and I got this command from this folder. Inside the bin, I have command is source runner visual, and it take SOSLab username. And from here also you can find that I already defined the username for SOSLab and access key as an environment variable in my workflow to be not able to disable in the normal workflow in the log. And I'm using username, password, -f. This is the framework is Espresso, and still it's supported only Espresso for now. And this is the Bitrise APK, and the APK test, this is also environment or two environment variables. From the previous step, if we go step to the previous step, in the output, we have here Bitrise APK path and the Bitrise test APK path. So I take these two environment variables and I put it in SOSLab. So from here, we just add your application. -a is like application under test, -t is like test application. -d is the device that you need to run your test against it. And actually you can add one more devices, just -d, and add what's the version or platform version that you need to run, what is the device name, and after that the data center that you need to run. Because now SOSLab has the data center in Europe and they have data center in US. And after that, okay, we are success now. So in this step, SOSLab start using Espresso. And this is my username, this is my access key, and this is the path for the APK, and this is path for the APK test. And the no include test, you can also specify what is the test including in your run or what's exclude in your run. And this is the device, try to upload Bitrise to source storage, so you are deploying to source storage to be able to run in your SOSLab. And after that, file uploaded successfully. The JUnit report will be saved locally in your test. If you are running also, you can run also from your local machine. So the report for JUnit, it will be saved locally and getting the job started and so on. If we refresh this one, okay, this is the workflow. Everything is okay, and the upload, I will open the details for the uploading to check that the result already displayed here. So for example, after we select or after we get the device, we start running our sample calculator. This is the one test, passed, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after this is the total time, total number of passed test cases. The JUnit is generated, and from SOSLab, I can check here in the dashboard, I have section for automated test. So I have Espresso test is completed, and also it displaying the Android version that I selected from Linux, okay, and there is no tunnel or any private connection, so I will open it. I will get the comments or the test cases from here. Okay, for some reason the video is not available. Maybe I can refresh it.
I think you have to log out and log in.
Okay. So this one already, if I run it again, I open it. This is the one that we start building it. This one is already success also. And maybe I can log out. Sign out. And okay. Yeah. I hope. No. So maybe, yeah, I will run it again. So at the end, we will open the workflow that we already we designed it in the workflow editor, and we will find all the steps that we was using in the wizard. This is generated from the wizard. Because for example, I didn't add any lint. So if you don't need any Android lint for your application, so I will remove it. If you wanted to build your unit test, okay, you will leave it. Install missing. This is one step for like scripting to show you that you can add any script in your workflow and run it. So okay, I don't need it now. Cloning Bitrise, and this is icon actually for if there is a new version for this one, so I can select always latest, and also this one for about always latest, and caching also. Bitrise are using caching to so the build to be faster. For example, here after the unit test build, I wanted to run UI, or I will just write test. So I have here Android unit test. I can publish my application also to App Center from Microsoft. So I can also using App Center if I have account for this one. I can using Klavish for Android UI test. I can run Gradle unit test, and I can use anything, Test Fairy, for example. And this is also another one. Bitrise, by default, integrated with Google Firebase Test Lab. But we have a custom solution today to running on in SOS Lab. For example, here, if I wanted to like test, or I need to use build. Okay, I have Android build. This is a normal build, but I have one for Android build for UI test. So I need to run my application to be able to running our test automation. And from here, I can just, this is the source directory or the cloning or the sources that, or the folder that we get from the cloning folder, and this is the module. So the module is usually is the application itself. The variant is debug. And if we need to add any other options, and at the end you will get this two outputs, application and application under test. Okay, and the next step, I will run my UI test. So in this time, I will using Google Firebase Test Lab. So I will running or use UI test, for example. Here we have a step like virtual device testing for Android. And this is actually for take our APKs and running with Google Firebase Test Lab. So from this one, I will select this step. And from here, yeah, at the beginning, it asked me about the APK path, and it's an environment variable already. And here, the test is device. And if you are working with Firebase Test Lab, this table is bringing, or it's give us from the Firebase Test Lab itself. So this is the supportive, or this is the devices that Bitrise support for now to running your UI test. So for example, I will select Pixel 2, and I will select version 28. And EN, this is the language, English, and the portrait, this is the device orientation, and this is the test type. If you open this one, maybe it's not. We have three types here: instrumentation test, robot test, and the game loop. And these three types are from Firebase itself. So Bitrise integrated internally with Firebase Test Lab, and these types from Firebase. So in our case, we are running an instrumentation test because we are running our code or custom code. The robot test is like robot test. If you select a robot test, it will start like a monkey testing. Start open your application and start clicking in any place in your application to check the functions and so on. And the game loop, something like this one. So we will select an instrumentation test, and for instrumentation options itself, we will, this is a test APK, test runner class. If you have a custom test runner class, the target, if you wanted to specify which package that you need to run, which class or which annotation, and in this case, we can use the annotations that we did already in our framework. For example, I can here add annotation and say end-to-end or smoke test or regression and so on. And use orchestrator. This is also another option or function from Google that now you can run your test in isolated processes that is not, or if you are running, for example, 5 tests, your test will not be in one thread. It will split it in like different threads to be able to track it. And we will not using orchestrator and just it. So at the end, okay, we will save it. For example, if you wanted to add something, if we go back again to our template, we need to add sign, upload to Hockey app, deploy, just as a small steps. For example, sign application, deploy to Hockey app, for example. And after that, for example, we need to deploy to Google Play Store. After we finish, we need to upload, maybe we need to upload our test result to S3 Bitbucket. And all of them need to be configured for sure. And also, for example, we need to send Slack message. Sorry. Slack message, and maybe we can also send like Twilio message to the mobile device. Or we can also like update our, we can commit on the GitHub pull request, or we can update our Jira tickets or comment with the, or update the issue field if the test passed, so we can just close the tickets and so on. So here you can build your workflow with Bitrise YAML file. So okay, we need to save it. With YAML file, you have all the steps in the YAML, and workflow also we can build, or we can copy. For example, I need to copy another workflow based on the one that I created now. So I will create one. It will be like duplicated the workflows and so on. Okay. So this was the demo. And at the end, we still have 1 point from our plans. So we are now implement our end-to-end scenarios or our CICD pipeline. We are now running our test on every pull request, on every push of the code. And still we have 1 point for we need to know more about negative feedbacks from the clients. So if we are using Slack, that we can just download or install this plugin for Slack. It's about app boot, and this, with configuration, it gives you the negative feedbacks from the App Store directly immediately in the time. So for example, from here, you can get Slack notifications that, okay, this application is not good, and we can go to reply on this comment, or review it, or view it, or translate it, or anything, or take actions from this one. That's it.
So you were talking a lot about DevOps in the beginning, right? And I'm also a big fan. But what I also see when you have like continuous deployments running, this also gives a lot of pressure to the team, and also a lot of pressure to people into integrating test automation, right? So you suddenly, one of your tests is saying this is failing, your build pipeline is stopped. Maybe the developer tries to argue that this is a flaky test and it needs to be in quarantine. So how do you deal with this sort of pressure?
Okay, I will tell you about something that happened this morning. So that I was just working in my task and found that Slack notification in our Android room, that is one developer is escalating about the Bitrise builds are failing for one test case as a reorder from our application. Reorder, so you order for food delivery, and you need to reorder this application again, this order again. And after that, we have also, like, we are using Allure reports. Allure, this is, give us screenshots and logs and everything. And we are sending also the build links to Slack. So I just click on the link, and I go to the result, and from the screenshot, I found that we can't place order. So you can't reorder it from the place order. So we start investigating on Slack. Okay, guys, we need to check it. Someone go to the API, and he found it's written 500. Okay, we found the problem. So this is usually what happens in the problem. So sometimes we have usually in the mid of the day, maybe at 4 or 5, we usually the team always deploys the staging in this time, and we are testing against staging. So we know about this test will fail in this time. But for example, for uploading to Hockey app or uploading to store, we have different workflows, and we are not deploying it, or it's not related to our day-to-day activities. It's separate for releasing or tagging or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Moataz.
Thank you.